Some sci-fi thrillers everyone knows, but others slipped past the spotlight, hiding in plain sight. Today we're digging up 10 of those films, not a ranking, just a collection of discoveries worth your time. And as always, I'm counting on your recommendations in the comments to uncover even more. Director James Ward Burkett made Coherence on a budget of just $50,000, and that limitation became its strength. Shot without a script and improvised by its little-known cast, the film tells the story of friends at a dinner party who discover alternate realities in their neighborhood after a comet passes overhead. Surreal and full of twists, Coherence slides between claustrophobic thriller and mysterious sci-fi puzzle. The rough edges, sharp performances, and unpredictable tone make it the kind of film that sticks in your head long after it ends. The Door is a German sci-fi drama that mixes grief, guilt, and parallel worlds. Mads Mikkelsen stars as David, an artist devastated by the accidental death of his daughter. Years later, ready to end his life at the same spot where she died, he discovers a mysterious door that leads to another version of his life. The film plays like a dream, blurring reality with metaphor. At its core, it's about confronting the past and learning to forgive yourself, no matter how deep the wounds. The Door remains one of Mikkelsen's lesser-known works, but it's a haunting story that deserves wider recognition. Frank wakes up in a cell run by a computer system called Howard, which feeds him, questions him, and keeps dragging him through the same memories. Again and again he returns to a cafe, talking with a barista named Gabby, unsure if she's real or just part of the program. Each loop pushes him closer to the truth, while escape attempts collapse back into illusion. Shot on a tiny budget with only a few sets and actors, the film builds tension through its reality flips and its unsettling question, what happens when the system never lets you out? This Australian film feels close to Brainstorm and Total Recall, but tells its story through a very different lens. Ren Amari is the driving force behind OtherLife, a company creating eye drops that launch people into pre-programmed virtual experiences. While her partner pushes to sell the drug to prisons so inmates can serve years of time in only minutes, Ren secretly hopes it might wake her brother from a coma. But everything spirals when her boyfriend accidentally takes a sample meant for her brother and dies. With the company facing shutdown, Ren is forced into a deal she never wanted. A full year of solitary confinement experienced only inside her mind. This independent sci-fi thriller tells the story of 3 college students who get expelled after a hacker named Nomad interferes with them. They decide to track him down and travel across the country. At a remote house, they find unusual signs and then suddenly lose consciousness. When they wake up, they are in containment, questioned by Lawrence Fishburne in what seems to be a secret government facility. From there, the film unfolds through a series of twists, with tense performances, striking visuals, and moments of explosive action. This film will be familiar to many of my subscribers, but if you're not deeply into sci-fi movies, it's a great one to discover.
Zach Hobson, July 5th. 1. There has been a malfunction in Project Flashlight with devastating results. 2. It seems I am the only person left on Earth.
These are the words he records at the start. For half the film, Zach believes he is completely alone, moving through empty towns and testing the limits of his situation. The film doesn't waste time. Even moments without dialogue remain engaging. Bruno Lawrence's performance and the haunting cinematography create a strong atmosphere, leading to a strange and unforgettable ending. Artificial intelligence is one of the most familiar subjects in sci-fi, but Archive takes it in a different direction. It links the idea to grief and the attempt to bring back the dead, almost like a modern version of Frankenstein. George Almore is a scientist building human-like AI, hoping it will let him see his wife again after her death. His creations become more advanced, with one slowly taking on human traits while still showing a hollowness that marks her as unnatural. The design of the film balances futuristic robotics with a small domestic setting that feels both authentic and unsettling. It's a real shame that this film came out in 2020 and didn't get wider distribution. It deserves much more attention. Arthur Hamilton is a man who feels trapped in his life. A secret company offers him a rebirth, a new face, a new body, and a new identity. After surgery, he becomes Tony Wilson, played by Rock Hudson, and steps into what looks like a perfect second life. The film uses this science fiction premise to show the emptiness behind the fantasy. A new body cannot erase the weight of the past, and the dream of starting over becomes a disturbing experiment in identity. Frankenheimer's direction and Jerry Goldsmith's score turn the idea of transformation into a nightmare about what it means to be yourself. This German two-part film by Rainer Werner Fassbinder is based on the novel Simulacron 3. It follows a scientist who takes control of a vast computer simulation after his colleague dies in a strange accident. The virtual world is filled with identity units who believe they are human, and the boundary between simulation and reality quickly becomes unstable. Long before The Matrix, the film explored paranoia, surveillance, and the fear of losing control inside a system we created ourselves. Fassbinder shot it with long zooms, futuristic set design, and an eerie sense of detachment that perfectly fits the story. It is very much a product of the 1970s, full of cynicism and suspicion, but it still feels relevant as one of the earliest and most ambitious visions of simulated reality on screen. And again, if you're a fan of the genre, you probably know this film, but it still deserves a place on the list. Directed by George Lucas before Star Wars, it shows a very different side of his work. The story follows THX, played by Robert Duvall, and Sen, played by Donald Pleasance, as they try to escape from a futuristic totalitarian society. People live under constant control, kept docile by endless consumerism and mandatory drugs. Lucas builds this world with stark white sets, faceless robotic enforcers in black suits and silver masks, and an atmosphere that feels cold and clinical. The sound design and visuals create a warped sense of reality, where individuality is nearly erased. It was Lucas's first feature, an early step that feels far from the blockbuster style he later became known for.